Welcome to Camp Setup Basics. Today we're going to talk about the spectrum for camping. You know, some people backpack and fit everything inside of this backpack. But nah, that's not what we're talking about today. We're taking it to the next level where the traditional car camping setup. So you're headed to a state park campground, or maybe you could even apply some of this to your backyard camping experience. But we're going to show two different setups. So I'm Brent, and this is Margaret. Margaret's going to talk about kind of the minimalist car camping or front country camping experience. And then I'm going to focus on a more elaborate setup. So, Margaret, are you ready to show this spectrum, this yin and yang, this different options?
Yes.
Okay. So the way we're going to kind of do today is we're going to kind of show shelter over here, some extras and luxuries over here, some extras and luxuries over here. We're going to end with the camp kitchen. So Margaret's going to kind of have a minimalist camp kitchen, and I'm going to, if you stick with us, this box is going to transform into an elaborate camp kitchen. I should also introduce our volunteer behind the camera today is Amy, and she'll relay any questions you have for Margaret or I about our equipment or our setups. So feel free to ask questions and we'll try to do the best to answer them. I mean, we always love challenging questions, don't we?
Oh yeah.
So bring it on. Engage with us here on Camp Setup Basics. So we'll start over here with the minimalist camp setup related to sleeping and shelter systems.
So, as Brent said, I'm more of the minimalist side of things. So when I go out, I usually am not at my camp a lot. I will go out for a day hike, something like that. So I usually, depending on if I'm by myself or not, will have a 1 to 2 person tent. Inside, I just have my sleeping bag. I bring an extra blanket just in case, a small pillow. And then I will have, sometimes I'll bring an extra hammock just to kind of hang out. And then I have my day pack. With all of this, it's pretty easy to set up. It maybe only takes me 10-15 minutes to do everything. And when I tear it all down, I also, can kind of get it up in the car and packed out pretty quickly. All right. And so, again, mine's pretty quick. And if we want to transition, if you want a little bit more luxury, maybe you're staying at camp a little bit longer, then we will head over to Brent's side and kind of see what he has.
So when I go camping and I've got the support of a car or a vehicle, I do like to bring it all, right? So my tent over here, it's a 6-person tent for our family of 4, which is great. It's always good to have a little extra room. So come in under what we call the porch. And in my tent, some of the features I like, I can stand up. I actually have about 4 inches of headroom above me, so I can stand up, move around. We can have space here on the edges for the 4 folks here. We've got extra pillows, so bringing big pillows and extra, these are kind of smaller mats, but here's kind of a thicker thermarest mat. So just having the luxurious space is really nice. We also have a door on both ends, and it really helps us kind of live in comfort related to our camp setup. This shelter right here, this porch, we often will put a tarp down here, and it's a great place to take your shoes off, set them aside. Sometimes we'll have games or activities. Just obviously, anytime you go camping, it's going to rain. That's a given. As you can tell today, we're getting some sprinkles. And so being prepared for the rain so that you can be comfortable in the rain while camping, it won't ruin your weekend. But you got to build some structure to make that happen. So we really like this porch. Some other things we do for shelter this Easy Up tent has really been valuable on camping trips where it's rained, to have a solid space to work underneath. We'll get to the kitchen later, but there's also a tarp over here over our table. So protecting yourself from the elements and the rain is a big part of what we like to do related to shelter and systems. So why don't we go back over to Margaret and see what she does for some luxurious items or some extras, and then we'll get into the kitchen.
So unfortunately, if I'm going to go to a designated campsite, I don't necessarily have, you know, a shelter tarp or a 10 by 10 tent. So I have to do everything in my tent, especially if there's elements. My luxury items, I always bring a notepad. When I'm out, usually it's my time to kind of reflect on everything. So I'll spend most of my time in here, except when I'm eating. And then I also make sure that even in the summertime, I'm always warm. So that's where I bring that extra blanket. I bring hand warmers. Sometimes I'll even bring like my slippers. But I really try to keep it to a minimum. Again, I'm not spending as much time at my campsite, so I don't necessarily feel like I need a lot. And when I do go to a designated camp area, most of the time I will have some kind of fire pit, so it's nice to kind of hang out. Even when it's drip dropping like this, I could always start a fire. And then I usually have a picnic table similar to the one that's here. So those are kind of my main kind of hangout areas and items that I want to make sure that I bring with me no matter what.
So if we come back over here, we talked about some of our extra shelters already as kind of the extras, but I have this box here. This box usually is full of extras from a screen to go around this Easy Up tent if the bugs are too bad. I've actually never opened it and used it, but I have it with me in case I need to. And then a lantern, and we'll show the lantern in a second of where that goes. Sometimes I'll bring a extension cord for the, I'm usually not in a campsite with electric, but you could be. Oftentimes when you're booking a campground, there's non-electric sites and there's electric sites. Often the electric sites are for RVs and that sort of thing, but sometimes you're just around electric or may need it. When you're out, you do charge phones, you have other things you may need to charge. So I do have that with me. And this box, this fits in the back of our minivan behind this. So this is the camp kitchen. It lays flat, and then this box fits perfectly behind it. So it's just kind of the catch-all, and it also serves as a seat or a place where I can set my water for the camp kitchen setup. So yeah, oftentimes we have extras like the citronella candles, the tablecloths, and the camp chairs are some of the extras we bring with us. Oftentimes we'll have a hammock as well to set up around the camp. So generally, we're ready for the kitchen.
Yep.
So we are going to go from the minimalist kitchen to the elaborate kitchen.
So for Brent's kitchen, he can keep a lot of his stuff in all of his bins. Most of the time I'll keep all of my stuff locked up in the car because it is right near me. I usually will bring either a jet boil, if it's just me, where I can cook everything in here and all I need is fuel. I don't need to have any extra pots or anything like that. If someone else is with me, I can always bring another small stove, the fuel, and then a pot or pan. And I do carry all of my extra stuff in a little Tupperware like this, and then I also will use this for my bowl. So I can always use that for mixing things up or eating out of something like that. So it's kind of all contained. So it's pretty similar to a backpacker's setup, but again, this is a little bit heavier, so it's something that you might not want to be carrying out on the trail, but it's easy for me to use and pack up and put back in my vehicle.
That sounds so simple, Margaret.
It's so simple.
So simple.
So nice. But Brent has a lot that I also enjoy.
So my system is for the situation where you might be spending the weekend 3 or 4 days at the same campsite. You know, Margaret's system is great if you're maybe doing a road trip across the country and you're popping into a campground here, you're packing up and you're moving to see the next great national park or that sort of system. And maybe you need more room in the car during the day traveling. Where my system's kind of like you show up, you set up, you leave it out of the car for the weekend so that you can still do your day trips and whatever and not have all of that set up. So this really does fill the back of the minivan, like I said, with this behind. Then this cooler sets on top along with these hard cases. So this box I use for all my dry food. So we put that in here. We have some organization within there. And I commit to like strong, heavy boxes instead of like throwing stuff in a cardboard box and jamming it in there. So strong, heavy boxes for your dry food. Come on in here and I want to show you some organization in this cooler. The cooler itself, here's some lovely, lovely food on display. So what happens here is these allow food to not be up against the ice, yet still be cool. So imagine the ice is surrounding this box. No ice or water is building up inside of here. I've loved this ever since I've been using this. And then this tray, you might have cheeses and other things. And this is full of ice where cold drinks can go down in the ice. So if you have something in a cardboard package or just anything in a Ziploc bag that's sitting in ice, that water finds its way in. And this allows you to separate from that. So I've really enjoyed that kind of system within the cooler.
Brent,
Yeah?
Jordan is wondering how long it took you to set up this camp.
This camp here, well, it probably took a half hour. I don't think it took an extremely long time. We have the luxury of being nearby where all this stuff was, so we just kind of brought it out a piece at a time. If I were to load this up and set it up with the full family supporting, so I got, you know, the 10 and the 12-year-old daughter and Amy, my wife, if we're all working together, it's, you know, 20-30 minutes to get the structure in place, and then there's always the fine-tuning, where to put the hammock, what to do. Setting up camp is one of the most fun parts of camping for me. I don't know if that should be that way, but for me, the camp setup's like, we're moving into a new house. Where do we want to put the kitchen? Where do we want to put this? And so it's really fun for me. And all of these systems working together. So I think we're ready. Are the people out there ready?
They are. Kathy's wondering where Margaret got her jet boiler from. Jet boil. Is that an REI product or did you buy that someplace else locally?
Locally, Great Miami Outfitters is a supplier for a lot of all the equipment you're going to see that could help you support your family camping experience.
Nice.
So, and that, like a lot of Margaret's stuff, it doubles as backpacking equipment, where a lot of my stuff probably doesn't serve well to turn into a backpacking sort of situation. So a lot of the choices here are going to be made based on what's your typical experience. If you backpack a lot and occasionally car camp, you might look a lot more like Margaret. If you commit to basically you're only going to car camp and you never will backpack, you might start to purchase some things that I'm going to show you with my kitchen. The number one thing I like with my kitchen is that it's dedicated. So often the problem I was having that led me to put this kitchen together is that you're headed out for a camping weekend, say this Memorial Day weekend, and so it's Thursday. When do I start packing the kitchen? I don't want to steal stuff from the kitchen I'm using at home. When you do that, you end up not packing till the last minute, at least the kitchen stuff. So finding those odds and ends that are kind of stuff you don't need anymore and dedicating a camp kitchen, even if it's in a box, random box, is better than nothing. It's that stealing your regular kitchen stuff that really causes you some headaches at the last minute when you're packing. So I put this kitchen together. I've made 3 versions of this kind of kitchen, and I'll show another one. I have another version that actually pulls out on rails from the back of the minivan, which that's different because we used that when we were in transit more. So we were parking, camping, moving, camping, moving, camping. We didn't want to load this up every single time we needed it. But this kitchen was made for that situation where you're staying in a camp multiple days. So are you ready?
Yes, Abby wants to know if that cooler is big enough for a family of 4.
This cooler has served us well for a family of 4, this size.
For about a week.
Yep, and you do have to refill the ice every couple days. But refilling the ice is easy because you just pull out that bin that I showed you earlier, dump out the old water and everything, put those bins back in, and then fill ice around. So it's really easy to actually change out because of that bin system as well. So this kitchen, it's really kind of a dream come true for me. I'm really proud of it. So what we have on the side is just some latches. And this whole system works without a picnic table, right? We don't need a picnic table to serve us and be with us. I carry this little side half table, this little short folding table, and that table separately. So we're kind of self-sufficient from needing a table. And so what happens here is this entire front also becomes a table. And so we're going to turn this into a cutting board, a serving area, and it works a little like this. So before I undo all this, if you look in here, everything's got its place. So these are support rails that I'm going to show you how that helps turn into my kitchen. We have all of our cleaning supplies. So I like to set up my 3-bin system. We're going to get to the paper towels there. We have pots and pans, skillets, but the 3-bin system for washing, I usually set that up nearby so that as I get something dirty, it's really close at hand. So let's go ahead and put that table on the back. So we have 4 pieces that we're going to go over here. And just a little bit of PVC pipe in there. It fits right into here. And then these are custom made to slide right down into this area. And I forgot to time it. I was going to time this. And then you see this area will just fit right there. Okay? And then we've got an incredible surface to work from. And in today's world of COVID, not using shared equipment is always good. And so there's no need to touch a picnic table. I'm off on something here. Oh, that one's a little. Hold on. There we go. Okay. And then I actually broke something right there. So always when you're on camera doing it, you're gonna break something. But this flips up, creating the opportunity to just flip up your stove. And I was a Boy Scout, so shout out to Troop 402. You know, the basics of camp boxes started with that. So the stove's up, and guess what? Imagine we'd cooked breakfast, and now it's dinner time. This is already hooked up to the fuel. So there's room in here to hold a couple extra canisters of fuel. There's a hose in there. So when I built my camp kitchen, I didn't want to have to bring the stove out, set it on. I wanted this sort of system where you just flip up, you've got surface, the stove right there, you just close this up and you're done. So there's a few extras here. I always want a trash bag near me when I'm cooking, and so this is just a kind of a custom wood structure that slides on right here, and then I put a couple little screws there to hold this little container so that I can put a spatula or whatever I'm working with. So I've got the water, the trash, the spatula holder, the 3-bin system right behind me. The fuel's already hooked up. I've got the pots and pans right here ready to go. And there's knives, there's lighters, there's all kinds of things you would need right in here, from some saran wraps and bags, some extra rope. So we have a whole system there. Actually, this was my first purchase that motivated me, was this kind of nesting system. I bought this and I'm like, now I need to build a kitchen to match the beautiful nesting that I got with that. Kind of one of the last features, when you're camping, you also want, oftentimes you want your paper towels handy. You might need a lantern right above you. So sometimes I have this kitchen set up where there's not, where I could hang a lantern from this as well, but I've made a system to hold the lantern. Now I lost my paper towels. Here it is. And this is kind of all about solving problems as you go. So I made a paper towel holder out of a couple old plastic light switch covers. So I put that there. I put my bar through the paper towels, which slides down there. Whoops, forgot this one. I got it. And this goes up to that little hook there, and all of a sudden, even in the wind, this doesn't blow off on me, and I can pull that out, and it's right there handy next to everything I'm doing. So in the end, I can shut this down, move these pots in, flip that up, put the front on in just a couple minutes in between meals that I'm cooking in my camp. So there it is for the most part. I do have this little collapsible dolly, which helps me get it from the car to the campsite.
Margaret, do you have a collapsible dolly in your vehicle?
Yeah?
Not.
No?
No.
She didn't bring a collapsible dolly with her, right?
I should get one for all my things.
But she doesn't need it, right? There is a time and a place for every kind of setup. You know, some people like, well, are you a minimalist? Are you a lightweight or whatever? I'm all of the above. It depends on the trip, the situation. It's nice to have a few options with different gear so you can match that to your trip. But like I said earlier, if you're looking for like, which way do I go? Double burner stove or kind of a small backpacking stove? That has most to do with what are your other style of trips. And who you're with. They both serve the purpose of boiling water, and you match the food and how you're cooking to what you have. And so it's nice to have both, but you might need to only make one choice or the other. And it's really how elaborate do your food options do you want. I can cook bacon a little better than Margaret maybe, but she could cook bacon. So it's all about choice and options. So, any questions out there?
Can you cook bacon with a jet boil?
I have not tried. It would probably be a little tricky. But you could probably do it with a small backpacking stove and a pan, or a small pot.
All right, well, we don't have any questions right now coming from the audience.
No questions, huh? So
You must have covered it all.
I don't know, but I think both systems work, and thanks for coming in today, and we hope you have a good Memorial Day weekend. Encourage you to backyard camp if nothing else. Try out some of your systems, build your own camp box, dedicate some of your old utensils to camping. One of the big things that I think that keeps people from camping is gathering all of the equipment together and getting ready. I think that holds people back. So by dedicating your kitchen box, you're going to find that going camping happens more often. And so if there's one big lesson learned, I think it's to do that. And that'll help you a lot with actually getting out and living.
whenever I'm getting ready to go, I do usually keep everything in my house in a big Rubbermaid. So I have my tent and all of that stuff in one bin, and all of my kitchen stuff in another. And then I just have to pull that stuff out, put it in the back of the car, grab my day pack, and then I am ready to go wherever.
Nice.
So,
Margaret,
yeah.
do you have a favorite local camping spot?
Right now, my backyard is my favorite spot to camp. But I do really enjoy getting out on the Twin Valley Trail and going to some of the backpacking camp spots and some of the front country. And you can usually get those at a later date. So.
All right, and Brent, Abby wants to know, what is your favorite camp meal for that awesome kitchen?
My camp meal?
Yes.
You know, I like the classic eggs and bacon in the morning. It's hard to beat some of the good feeling you get on a chilly camping morning, and you get that bacon smell with that eggs, and you throw in some with some toast. So one of my favorite purchases was this toaster, and this allows you literally to have, well, everything's breaking on me today, but this is a toaster, and you set that on the burner, and it does a nice job of diffusing that heat in a way where you just put the toast there, flip it over in a minute, and you've got wonderful toast. So there's all kinds of little creative things out there to help you have the comforts of home while camping. There's something about camping, right? You don't want it to be just like home, but it is nice to have toast when you want it with your morning breakfast.
Brent also likes to cook over the campfire some hobo dinners wrapped in aluminum foil, potatoes as the base.
Heavy duty aluminum foil is always better than regular old aluminum foil.
Potatoes, carrots, meat, mushrooms, peppers.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week with a couple more Facebook's Lives on Thursday, a week from today. A conversation with Mary Klunk. So talking about conservation within Five Rivers MetroParks and how conservation helps lead to the ability to have outdoor recreation. So without conservation, we don't have much of anything. So next week on Thursday, join us for that, and stay tuned. It's still Virtual Bike Month, so we hope you get out there and check out everything going on with Virtual Bike Month, and have a good day.